Hey, friend, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, your tea, your lemon water, whatever you've got going on in that cup. Because today's story, oh boy, it's a good one. In a world saturated with people who are, let's say, lightly seasoned in the self-awareness department, you know, the ones you kind of want to shake by the shoulders and say, hello, is anybody home? Is the light even on up in there? This might hit home a little, especially if you've been dealing with folks who walk through life completely unaware that they create their own chaos. So, the other day, a friend came over. And you know when someone walks in and you can just feel it? Their energy is just heavy and you're like, oh, something's brewing. And you're caught between, ooh, spill it, girl. Or maybe it's better, I don't know. That was her energy. But I didn't say anything because, well, it could have been anything. Maybe work annoyed them. Maybe their spouse said something sideways. Maybe their kid had a meltdown over a sock. Maybe they just hadn't pooped all day. Listen, it happens. Or, here's the worst thought, maybe I did something. Well, I wasn't about to assume, so I just waited. We're chatting, we're catching up, and about 30 minutes in, they finally drop it. How do I tell someone they're the problem? And my brain's like, Arr! And came to a full halt, like, excuse me? What? Run that back by me again? Because there was no casual segue. No slight rearing off the path. No, oh, by the way, that's a sit up straight, clench your jaw, and butt cheeks, because we're about to get into some real things kind of question. And immediately, I start doing that internal audit, like, wait, hold on, was it me? Oh my gosh, did I forget a birthday? Did I miss a text? Because, well, yeah, that's pretty normal for me. So, no, they wouldn't be upset at that. Think, Gamray. Did my face talk when my mouth didn't? That possibly could totally be it. Shit, what happened? So, of course, I asked, did I do something? They started laughing at me and said, no. And instantly, my shoulders released. Oof. Okay, cool. Crisis averted. And then I shifted straight into Inspector Gadget mode. You know, my usual goofy, slightly chaotic detective self, paired with my inner Penny, the version of me that actually has some sense. So I go, all right, give me some backstory. What happened? And they say, well, I have this close family friend who's upset because they're always the last to know what's going on in their family. No one tells them anything. Okay, sure. That could be a lot of different things. So I ask, all right, but why don't people tell them things? And my friend goes, oh, well, because they leak information. Anytime you tell them something, eventually it gets repeated. Ah, gotcha. And I had to stop for a moment, not to judge, just to let it land, because that changes the whole conversation. And if I'm being real, it was a little triggering for me. I've dealt with someone like this before, and it took me right back there. But it wouldn't be fair to compare this situation to that person. They're not the same. And I didn't want my past experience to color their current reality. Upon removing myself from this situation, I asked, is this something new? Or has this always been a thing? And they say, oh, no. They've been doing this for as long as I can remember. And that's when I told them, oh, you're in a bit of a pickle. A whole fermented dill pickle. So now the real question is, how do you tell someone they're the reason people don't trust them? Because that's really what they're asking. So I told them, and I tell you the same thing. So let's break this down like we're talking as friends. No filters, no fluff. And please, if you'd handle this differently than I did, drop it in the comments. Let's learn from each other. I feel like the first conversation you should have is with yourself. So I looked at my friend and said, okay, but before you say anything to them, should you even be involved? Should you even be the one to say anything? Because here's the thing. We love to jump into other people's conflicts like it's a group project we shouldn't be signing up for. We want to help. We want to fix, mediate, smooth things out. And other times, people scoop us into their drama that we shouldn't be a part of. So the most loving thing you can say is, have you talked to them about this yet? And if the answer is no, then that's not your delivery to make. That emotional Amazon package has not been addressed to you. Don't pick it up. Return to sender. But if you are going to say something, gently hold up the mirror. So I told my friends, listen, okay, if you really feel like you have to say something, maybe just ask a question. No accusations, no grabbing them by the shirt collar and dragging them to the mirror, no full-on share moment where you slap them and yell, snap out of it. You do talk too much. Something a little bit softer, like, hey, do you think it's possible people hesitate because sometimes things they share with you end up being repeated? That's it. Soft, clean, direct. No weapons involved. Because honestly, a lot of people genuinely don't realize how their behavior impacts trust, or others, really. Most of the time, they're not being intentionally messy. They're just unaware. And if it is a long-standing pattern and there's zero willingness to self-reflect, why would you even want to step into that mud? And finally, the last thing I said, protect your peace and theirs. So I told her, you can be honest, but know your role. You're not the fixer. You're not their life coach. You're not the designator truth teller for the family. You're just someone offering a perspective if you choose to. If they're ready to hear it, great. If not, that's okay too. Because truth delivered to someone who isn't ready turns into a fight. And we're not trying to end up in the front lines of unnecessary drama. Let me give you a scenario to make this real. Picture your cousin Maria. She's calling you upset and she's like, no one tells me anything anymore. I'm always the last to know. Now you happen to adore Maria. She's fun. She's sweet. She's hilarious. But she also has her PhD in unsolicited broadcasting. Maria will tell you your news before you even finish living it. This girl is Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and 2 podcasts roll into one. So you say, do you think maybe people hesitate because things shared with you sometimes travel? 2 things can happen here. She'll get defensive. No, I don't. That is so not true. Okay, you put the mirror down, walk away. People hear truth when they're ready, not when they're forced. Second, you watch her face soften and she goes, yeah, I guess I do that sometimes. That tiny pause, that's the start of change. That's the crack where the light gets in. I think we've all been in a very similar situation. Maybe you've been the person who felt left out. Maybe you've been the person who's accidentally broken trust. Maybe you've been the friend trying to help. No matter which role you've played, you're human. It's okay. I myself have played all 3 roles. Relationships of all kinds are messy. Humans are complicated. And communication? Oh, she's a slippery little sucker, isn't she? But reflection, honest, compassionate reflection, is how we grow. It's how we stop repeating cycles. It's how we show up better. It's how we deepen connection. So here's your sip of the day. Truth lands softer when love carries it. Let that sit with you for a moment. Before we wrap up, one tiny favor. If this episode made you laugh, reflect, or think about that one person you might need to have a conversation with, share it, drop a comment, or check out our shop. Every little bit helps keep this cozy corner of the internet brewing. All right, friend, take a deep breath. Remember, you're allowed to be honest. You're allowed to set boundaries. And you're allowed to grow. And you're also allowed to ask others to grow too. Truth doesn't have to be sharp to be real. Clarity doesn't have to be cruel to be effective. Sending you so much grace, softness, and courage for those conversations you'd rather avoid. The very ones that help relationships evolve. Until next time, sip slow.